Outstanding. So welcome everyone to our Furman University and Sustain SC program overview. We are going to be talking about Sustainability Leadership Initiative. This is an information session, and we're thrilled that you chose to spend the next hour or so, possibly a little less, with Andrew and I on this afternoon and talk about SLI. You may know an SLI fellow. And they probably told you about how awesome and fun, and even heard the words like life-changing it is. And we want to make sure that everyone has that experience as we kick off SLI Class 4 in 2025. So let's look at today's agenda, items that we're going to be going over. And I need my computer to cooperate. Awesome. So today we're going to give you a little bit of a background on myself and on Andrew, go through the history, key learning objectives, the session themes, the flow of the lesson, the timing and attendance policy we have, cost, the application itself, SLI fellows and responsibilities, and then the SLI alumni program. So I know it seems like a lot to cover, and we will be going through each one of those and make sure everybody's question is answered, and that you all not only know what you're getting into, but you're excited about completing the application and potentially joining Class 4. So I will kick it off. My computer's a little slow, and tell you about myself. So I joined Sustain SC in October, and I am the SVP for Commerce at Sustain SC. And I previously worked for 7 years at the South Carolina Department of Commerce as the Director of Existing Industry, which was so much fun to be able to lead a team of 7 folks that go and call on our existing manufacturers around the state and talk to them about productivity, profitability, quality, and then, of course, the resources that we have available as a state agency to help boost them or enhance the work that they're already doing. Previous to that, I was a workforce development advisor, and then previous to that, I was in school systems. So I am a recovering teacher, I will admit that, and I also served as a middle school and high school administrator. So that's a little bit about me. And now I will kick it over to Dr. Andrew Predmore. Tell us about yourself, Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia, and hello, everybody. This is I'm Andrew Predmore. I'm the Executive Director of the SHI Institute for Sustainable Communities at Furman. This is one of my favorite parts of the job, so I'm excited to talk to you guys about SLI and what it's going to look like for this coming year. So for me, I'm not going to take you down the whole journey of my career path, but I think I'm well suited to co-directing and instructing in this program. I've got a PhD in forest resources and environmental conservation, so going way back at Virginia Tech, that's a useful foundation for thinking about these issues. I've also been a professor of environmental studies, where I taught a wide range of things from natural resource policy to environmental ethics, believe it or not, which was a learning experience for me. But so I've been a professor, and then since then I've been more interested in trying to get sustainability work done. So I was director of sustainability for Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, and then became the director for their entire university system, which is a story for another day. That's like nearly 100,000 students. Trying to green those operations was really something. But so I've got sort of, the academic stuff, and then, the pragmatic work of like, how do you actually make change in an organization and move it towards sustainability. I've also got a year of, private sector, ESG, corporate sustainability in my background, and that's really helpful as well as we think about how to tackle these issues in South Carolina, which is what this program is all about. You see Garrett Stern is listed on here as well. Garrett Stern works at Furman. He's the director of the Center for Innovative Leadership. He works on all types of professional education at Furman. So he's helping us think about the leadership component of this quite a bit. He runs Furman's Women in Leadership program, which he recently kind of rebooted and reformed. So I'm happy to have Garrett helping us as well with this. The last thing that I'll mention on this slide that's really critical to this program is that, it's not just the three of us listed here teaching this. Some of the magic of the program is bringing in our network to help teach this program, because it doesn't matter what your background is, you cannot be an expert in every single piece of the sustainability challenge. So that's what we do. We bring in guest instructors, people who are practitioners working in the field, recognize experts, and get them to help us learn and study these critical issues.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's dive right in. And I'm going to start and talk about the mission for Sustain SE. So we are here in existence to connect the sustainability goals of business in South Carolina with local solutions for the benefit of our economy, environment, and our people. We stand at the crossroads of commerce and conservation, and this is done through our Sustain SE member network, which includes advanced manufacturing and mobility, timber and agriculture, government and infrastructure, applied research, utilities, and conservation groups, which all come together with the common goal of building the most sustainable state in the country. And we're doing exciting things, and every day is new and different, and just very happy to be part of an organization that is nonprofit, nonpartisan, commerce driven, but conservation minded. And it's exciting to be at Sustain SC. So Andrew, tell us about the Shaw Institute.
Yeah, quickly, at the SHI Institute, we do leadership and applied research for a more sustainable South Carolina and beyond. So that pretty much covers it. Within the leadership component, you guys are on this call, so you're interested in this program, but we're also working to create sustainability leaders among our undergraduate population, trying to get them through practical experiences, opportunities to develop their leadership skill set and take that out into the world. We even work with the retirement community in the upstate around trying to develop sustainability leaders for the state. So leaders of all ages, right? Professional education like this program, all the way to undergrads and beyond that. So we're working on that. Applied research, is what it says. I'll just give you, one example. We're really focused on climate resilience right now at the SHI Institute. So we have a variety of projects funded by different sources to look into how to prepare our communities in South Carolina for the changes that are here and the changes that are coming, and how to identify solutions that will be beneficial to all people. So we're really at that. We've got an employee working actually down along the coast on those issues, as well as active research in the upstate. So yeah, leadership and research for South Carolina. That's what we do. This is my
History
slide
is
too.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. So I've been around only a little bit longer than Cynthia, so I get this slide. I've been at Furman for it'll be 2 years this October. So I know class 2 and class 3 pretty well. Class 1 less so. That was before I started. So I do want to take a second and say a big thank you to Ethel Bunch and Courtney Quinn, two people that had a lot to say about starting this program and had the vision to see a need for a network of people in our state that really care and are educated and working on these issues. So you can see the 3 graduated classes, and we can't wait to welcome a 4th and get to work. What you should know though about this is, that cross-sector component of this is really important. So, and Cynthia will talk about that a little bit more, the makeup of this, but this is a competitive program. We want to get people in the program who are excited about solving problems and enacting change in our state. And we are excited about bringing together people with different perspectives. And that's part of what is really important to this program. So it's not me lecturing or Cynthia lecturing. I mean, there's some of that, but it's a lot of problem solving together and using the different perspectives in the room to do that. So each year the class is limited to right around 25 participants. And that is precisely because we want a nice mix of folks across sectors, but we need it to be small enough that you all get to know each other, get comfortable, that we can have critical, difficult conversations about some of these challenges, and that we can problem solve together. And that, if our classes were 50 or 60, that would get much, much more difficult. And so we think this is about the sweet spot. So it's competitive. There's only 25 spots. Yeah. Okay, so you're probably interested in like, what are we trying to achieve, or what are the outcomes of this program? And so this slide captures that pretty well. I've mentioned the cross-sector network. So part of the program is getting you all, if you're in the program, to get to know each other well enough to lean on each other beyond this program to make changes in your organization or across South Carolina. So to do that, we have to do some intentional work to make sure we're creating that network within the class. So that's one of our core outcomes. To make a difference, you've got to be able to understand the complexity of sustainability challenges that we face, commerce and conservation. I would also say, social, economic, and ecological systems. That's where sustainability work happens, is at the intersection of those things. And because it happens at the intersection of those things, it's quite complicated and complex, right? So we're going to spend some time really discovering and understanding systems, and then identifying where the levers are for positive change. That's a key part of this program. And then last, we want you to be able to enact change. We need to impart and give you the opportunity to practice leadership skills. And those are things like, self-awareness, agility, the ability to influence and communicate complex sustainability topics and challenges. So we don't lecture you about that. Instead, we put you in problem-solving scenarios and we practice those things. But that's a critical component of this program as well. All right, now Cynthia, you can go.
Yeah, now I can go to the session themes and the dates. So really important to pay close attention to the dates, and then to know all the things that we are going to be covering. So commerce and conservation is woven within each of these sessions. Economic development is also a very important component. Each session incorporates networking, personal sustainability leadership development, as Andrew just mentioned, engagement with other fellows and outside experts, field experiences around the state, all with a hands-on learning environment. So each one of these, so the first one is Foundations of Sustainability Leadership. In the previous years, we have done that at the SHI Institute at Furman. I would anticipate that would be the case again this year. And then after that, we're on the road. So we're actually going to a site where there is land management and conservation. We're going to be actually going to a site where there's sustainability in forestry and agriculture. Going to a site to look at energy and emissions. Particularly, manufacturers are looking at their scope 1, 2, and 3, and their greenhouse gas emissions. Then session 5, actually going to a site where there is material circularity. So something more than just recycling, actually putting that product and that end user into a different type of commodity. And then the last session 6, that is graduation and our leadership presentations. So much fun to have graduation. Once we get started, I'll probably show you the montage of class 3, and I'll be taking lots of pictures and videos of folks. This past year, we had a young lady who had never eaten an oyster before, and we were at Wadey's Island, and Chris Crowley, our conservationist, just bent down and picked right off the oyster bed of oyster and said, "Anybody want to eat it?" And she raised her hand. I've never eaten one before, so I mean, just really cool experiences that we have together. But graduation, so everything does have one overnight. But graduation is not an overnight. We will have presentations, keynote speaker, a luncheon, and the time will be from like 11 to 3. And let's hand it back to Andrew, and he's going to talk about the flow of the lesson.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. So this is about kind of, since you're on this call, giving you a bit of an insider's perspective on like what does a session look like? So the sessions that were just on the previous screen, and there's a well-defined flow for each of the sessions. Although I would say that the first one, Foundations of Sustainability Leadership, is slightly different. But most of them follow this basic flow that you see on your screen. So step one is you're going to come in, the sessions, I think they're all going to start at 11 a.m. and we start to think of immediately, like really, and you'll have some readings to do in advance, but a level set, like what are the foundational components and dimensions of the system that we're studying. So if we're focusing on energy and emissions, we're going to be doing some reading. We're going to hear from subject matter experts and panels, perhaps, to get you ready and understanding that system. And because we have people from different backgrounds to kind of get us level set on that, and what's the status in South Carolina on that specific issue. But lots of guest instructors to help us get there. The next component is, listening and hearing about a system is one thing, but getting out into the field and seeing it and experiencing it is another. So you've kind of got that systems lens that you've been building in the classroom together with experts, and then we take that into the field, and you get to see and experience what's going on in that given area. And that's going to be designed to build your understanding of that system. Okay, so those are the first two components, and then each session kind of moves more into a group work and problem solving focus. Like, so now that we understand that system, what can we do to make positive changes in South Carolina? And then finally, you're developing your own leadership skills. What are your reflections on this? How does that learning help you advance the work that you're doing with your organization? So that's the flow. One other thing I want to mention quickly about this, though, is, and Cynthia will circle back to this, is one of the questions in the application is around what challenge or problem you're bringing to SLI that you want to focus on. And we ask you that because, first of all, we want to know your intent for being in the program, right? That you really want to work on something sustainability related that's challenging to you, and you want to bring that to this program. But two, so that we can problem solve together, right? So I'm just encouraging you on that particular question to spend some time trying to articulate that well, because that's an important component of this program.
Great. Okay, let's talk about attendance. Attendance is so important. We cannot stress that enough. And here's our attendance policy. We acknowledge up front that this policy may seem a little rigid. However, relationship building is the key component of the SLI experience, whereby moving through the program in a timely fashion with your cohort is critical. So if you have to be, I know life happens, believe me. If life happens, then I will need written notification ahead of time. A text is fine, phone call, an email. And just want to remind everybody, this is in line with Furman University's continuing education policies. I'm going to go through each one quickly. There are 6 sessions. Everyone is expected to be at all 6 sessions. However, life does happen. If you miss one session or portions of one session, but not portions of multiple sessions. In other words, if you have a really strong, habit of coming to day one, but you've missed day two or three times, then yeah, that's not a commitment. But if life happens, and it does, this is allowed in the case of a major event, and with written notification provided to me at Sustain SC ahead of time, and letting me know that you're not going to be there, because we're going to be getting on boats and we're going to have people meeting us out in the field, and we're going to be in, potentially shuttles. And so if somebody's not going to show up, I've got to know so that it doesn't hold up the rest of the group. We will provide online makeup material. It will be assigned to that person that had to miss a session, and it has to be completed prior to the next session, because everything really builds on one after another. SLI fellows that miss more than one session will not be able to graduate. However, that doesn't mean that they can't go ahead and finish out the rest of the sessions. And we're going to talk about cost in a minute. The tuition is non-refundable, but let's say that you miss, session 2, you did your makeup, but now I'm missing session 3. Well, dang it. You still want to be part of the cohort. You can continue as session 4, 5, and 6. And then in that case, we're going to invite you to come back the next year and then complete the session that you missed, which in that scenario was session 3, so that you can actually graduate. Now, you won't get to graduate with your cohort, but you will get that SLI certificate that is good for life. And like I said, the tuition is non-refundable. So let's talk about what a day looks like in a session. So a session is both day 1 and day 2, okay? So in order to try to cut down on the number of overnights, because in previous years there have been 2 overnights, and the feedback we got was that could be cut down, which helps people with their traveling costs. So day 1 is going to start at 11 a.m. Lunch will be provided, and we will go all the way to 5 o'clock. And then we will have a fun happy hour with everybody. And then there's a group dinner opportunity. So if we're in a city, I'll let everybody know that the group is going to meet at, ABC restaurant, and please come join us. It is optional, and it is Dutch, because sometimes we're in a city and people are like, hey, well, my college roommate lives here. I'm going to go meet them for dinner. Totally fine. And then that dinner is Dutch. So that means that everybody is on individual checks. You pay for your own appetizer, entree, drinks, whatever. But prior to that, we will have a fun happy hour with drinks and appetizers. I will give you a suggested hotel that is recommended, but hotel is not covered in your tuition. That is something you'll have to work out with your company or your organization, in terms of booking it and reimbursement of that. That is not something that I handle. And then there again, in the same scenario, we might be in a city where your grandma lives and you don't want to stay at the hotel. You want to go stay with her. Totally fine to do that. Then day 2, we will start promptly at 8:45. As you know, some hotels will provide a free breakfast. If the hotel that I suggest, that I recommend to everyone to stay at, if they provide a free breakfast, then I won't provide a free breakfast. But if they don't, then I will make sure that everybody's got food. People that know me know that I like to eat. I like to drink, and I have like very high standards and quality. So you will eat and drink well during these sessions. Is that a fair statement, Andrew?
Yeah, you saw me grinning because I know that to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the cost. So there is no difference in cost whether or not your company or organization is a Sustain SC member or not. It is $4,500 for everyone. That includes all of the SLI curriculum and programming that Furman University is providing, the class materials, those field experiences. So like I said, we may be on a boat or we may be on a shuttle. So it covers any of that. Of course, the networking, the day 1 and 2 lunch, drinks, snacks, day 1 happy hour. It covers all of those things. The cost does not include the hotel lodging, the transportation to the session. Now, once you're at a session, if we're going to take you to a loblolly pine forest, we're going to make sure that we've got transportation for you. And then the other meals not listed, like I just went over, is not covered. Cost needs to be paid in full by October the 18th, and tuition is non-refundable. If we have any questions about that, please put them in the chat and I'll be happy to address now or at the end. Okay, let's go over applications and acceptance. So I'm going to make sure everyone gets the application, gets this PowerPoint. It does have the application embedded. It is on our website. You need to have your application back into me. Oh, Jennifer has to go. Thanks, Jennifer. So the application does have to be back by August the 9th. If there's something you don't understand or, any kind of question, like I said before, I've been a middle school and high school administrator. I also have 2 young adult children. I feel like I am the understanding angel. So happy to answer anything. And then we'll have a review board. So we have people that will look over each of the applications and make sure this is a really nice fit for the networking and the opportunity that SLI is. And then I'll send out notifications on September the 3rd. And in that packet, you're going to get your acceptance letter. You'll get your invoice. You'll get something that you need to sign, which is your intent to participate. And then the session dates and absentee policy. So 2 signed letters are going to come back to me by September the 20th saying, yes, I'm definitely going to do this. And then your tuition is due by October 18th. If you need to break it up into payments, we can certainly accommodate that, but you need to let me know, okay? Just need to let me know up front how that's going to work out. And then we do have our annual symposium coming up. So the Sustain SC 3rd Annual Symposium will be on October the 24th. It's at Central Energy in Columbia. That's where we've had it for the past couple of years and will again this year. And so what we'll do is kind of like those pictures that you just saw previously, we'll have a class picture. So we'll have class 1, 2, 3, and now this year we'll have class 4. You'll also have a special ribbon that you'll be wearing on your name tag that says SLI Fellow Class 4. So it's a fantastic way to identify yourself, but also other fellows will recognize that you're someone getting ready to go through the program and will certainly want to meet you and learn more about you. So I think that's a great way to kick off. We don't have any kind of special dinner or anything planned that day for class 4. But being at the symposium, we have breakfast and lunch and networking. We have a happy hour that afternoon. It's a fantastic time to meet new people and to meet your fellow class 4 folks. So what are the SLI fellow responsibilities? I just talked about return the 2 letters signed by the due date, September 20th. The tuition fully paid by October 18th, or if we need to talk about it, let's just talk about it, personally, individually. Please block out your calendar for all 6 sessions once you have applied, really. I know it's not, a definite done deal. It has to go through the review, but you could put a hold on your calendar, just trying to be prepared. And respond to all my information requests coming from me or coming from Furman University. You do need to complete all your pre-work prior to arrival for each session. And I have to tell you, Andrew likes to keep it spicy. So we've had a spicy video sent. before. We've had some spicy reading, and we do that because it really gets your mind thinking. It may be thoughts you've never had before, and you may or may not agree with them, but it makes for a fantastic discussion. Make sure you're participating in all of those discussions and all the hands-on learning and journaling. And let me just say right here, the dress for everything is casual. We are outside a lot. So you want to make sure you're wearing, shorts or jeans, hiking boots or tennis shoes, whatever is comfortable for you, that you have on layers. We're starting in January and ending in June. So we're going to get to see all 4 seasons in South Carolina. So just know that it is casual dress, unless you're told otherwise. Now, graduation is more of a dressy occasion for graduation. Because we do individual graduation, professional photos that a lot of people like to share on LinkedIn. But other than that, it is casual because we are outside a lot. We want to make sure that you demonstrate respect for one another. I know sometimes it's hard if someone is saying something that you disagree with, but you need to respect that that is how they feel. And that is what they are offering to the group. So we're gonna level set on day 1 and make sure that we are respecting the thoughts and the comments of everyone together. And that's the last one. Value each other's opinions and the views, even though you don't agree. And I promise you, there will be people in the room that you don't agree with. But let's talk about that, and it makes for a much more interesting session. Okay, so next, upon graduation, let's talk about the alumni program. So we're gonna really roll this out and announce it at the October symposium, but with the January 2025 start date and going forward, there will be an alumni program. So the Shaw Institute will have specific events designated as an SLI continuing ed credit. SLI alumni can choose to be on a list to be a Sustainability Speakers Bureau for our partner colleges and universities. And I will do an interest form. It's not required, but it is going to be an option for you because we have been asked a lot if there are people that are willing to come talk to a technical college, a 4-year college, or graduate school about the work that they do and how it relates to sustainability. And then once a year, we're going to do a 1-day workshop or a luncheon that'll have a little bit of a cost to it to cover our costs for continuing ed credits. The other thing that you'll do as soon as we get our class together is you'll be on a group me. So you're in a group chat with your fellow classmates, but then there's the bigger group chat of all the SLI fellows. As I mentioned before, your SLI Furman certificate is good for life. However, to be a fellow in good standing means that you're out there in South Carolina, in the region, in the country, in the world. You're leading, attending, participating in designated SLI Sustain SC and or Furman events, or some of you may get to go to COP 30 or something really exciting like that within your line of work. And we certainly want to know about it and to share it with the rest of the fellows. So that's the end of our formal, PowerPoint presentation. So you can unmute yourself and I'll make sure everybody's able to do that. You can just unmute, ask the question. Let's see, allow participants to unmute themselves. So does anybody have a question? You can put it in the chat, you can unmute and talk to us. Anything at all.
Cynthia, Andrew, I've got a question. This is Mike Bogle.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, and hello again, Andrew.
Hey, Mike.
I had in the materials that came with opening up the application window, there was something about, I don't know the exact wording, but it said like the fellow or maybe the fellowship was good for 3 years. And what you just said about in good standing, does that kick in year 4 that, you know, you need to do something each year in order to remain an active fellow?
Andrew, you wanna address, or you want me to?
I mean, so once you graduate, you're always an SLI fellow, okay? But, you know, I mean, like the certificate, it's a certificate from Furman, right? You will
Mhm.
always have that. You will always say, if you, assuming you're proud of that, you're an SLI graduate, okay? But also part of the program is like, and this is, you know, this is beneficial to both organizations, but it's also like all of our previous 3 cohorts have wanted a formal program that's around continuing ed. And so we're creating that. And so to be in good standing as listed as a fellow on the websites going forward, you know, you'll have a certain number of things that you credit, things that you need to attend, and there'll be lots of options to stay a fellow in good standing. I mean, you're still an active participant in this program. And that won't be it's not going to be a super high threshold. It's going to be, you know, things like come to you know, 2 to 3 events a year, or offer, you know, based on your expertise, Mike, maybe you're brought in to help do a webinar on your area of expertise, and that would count, you know. So it's going to be, are you doing 2 or 3 substantive things with SLI each year, and that keeps you in good standing. So it'll be a 3-year thing though, although I will say we're not starting it until January, and that's because we're still actively designing exactly what that's going to look like. But it will not be like you got to do 10 things to be each year to be an SLI fellow in good standing. It'll be 2 or 3 things, but we want to keep engaged with you all, and we want you to stay engaged with your cohort.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's about what I expected, but I just wanted to make sure I had it right in my head.
Yeah. I mean, it could be things like last year we had a lecture at Furman on like the intersection of climate change and human health. Right. It's a 45-minute lecture and Q&A. And that would have been something, you know, this year, if we had that again, we designate that as an SLI continuing ed credit. We just want to know that you're there, and we might, you know, who knows, we might even have like a social for people who are coming to Greenville around that, but you'd get credit for coming, one of your credits for just attending that.
Okay.
Yep.
So then you mentioned in your initial response, you mentioned a 3-year program. So I'm trying to, does that mean for every 3-year cycle, you need to have accumulated X number of continuing ed credits in order to remain active? So, okay. So similar to I have a professional organization, Project Management Institute, same concept.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right.
And,
gotcha.
Yeah. And
we
will
wanted
probably,
to make it.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
I was going to say, we wanted to make it not just 1 year, because there again, life happens. Sometimes people have a bad year. So we wanted to give them enough time to where you're able to, you know, attend things and participate. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's 3 instead of 1.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Good questions.
Hey, Cynthia and Andrew, thank you very much. This is David Ray from Low Country Land Trust. I appreciate your presentation. It's very, very clear. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned looking for people to participate from different sectors. And of course, you can sort of parse sectors in different ways. So I'm curious how you guys think of the sectors that you're looking for in this.
Sure. And I'll, you know, start that one. So Sustain SC membership itself is in different sectors. So we have government, we have nonprofits like Upstate Forever or Conservation Voters of South Carolina. We have hospitals, we have utilities, we have manufacturers. So when we say, you know, different ones, it's different sectors. It could be healthcare. Is very concerned about sustainability. It could be architecture and engineering. So yeah, we have a very diverse group of people, and we want to continue that being a nonprofit, nonpartisan type program that SLI is. Andrew, you want to add it? Oh, and then education. We have people from, different universities that participate.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, we're looking for people that bring different perspectives to the program, right? It's not quite as formulaic as you might think. But
Yeah.
we want diversity within the private sector, right? So we don't want all manufacturing companies. We want some that might be service industry or maybe in healthcare, because they're facing different challenges on the sustainability front. And then, the same thing in the NGO sector and in the public sector. But typically, I'll tell you, David, it has been, if you have a class of 25, it's 16, 15, 16 are private sector, and then public and NGO are the rest. Another key thing just to point out, though, is and you'll see it in the questions for the application, is we're looking for people who are at a place in their organization where they can drive change, right? And that can look different ways, and we want to know kind of how you're positioned to do that, because this is a leadership program. So it's not exactly what you asked, but it's an important thing, I think, for others to hear and remember that question's in there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
Hi, Cynthia. This is Amanda. Nice to see you again.
Hi,
I have a quick question. I know it's probably different locations every year, but where have some of the kind of various locations been in the past where you go on site?
Yeah, sure. So we've been to Hartsville and towards Sunoco, spent the night in Hartsville. We've been to spend the night in Myrtle Beach near coastal Carolina and went to Ladies Island. We have been to Charleston before, Columbia, Andrew,
Beaufort.
where else?
Beaufort.
Greenville.
We've been to Beaufort 2 years in a row.
Thank you. Yeah.
The locations, though, are built around those field experiences. And we'll have some, over the years, we'll have some repeat field experiences, but they do change year after year. And, we're working on that now. Like where can we get the field experience that most enriches the learning and the systems perspective? So that's where it starts in terms of the location. But yeah, it's been all over the state. There'll be at least one in Greenville.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
And then possibly Spartanburg, going to Milliken or BMW is certainly a possibility. Yep. So we try to, especially since people are traveling from all over the state, we try to do upstate, Midlands, low country, and even it out best we can.
Graduation's probably in Columbia because people can get there in a day. Most people in the state, just for convenience.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
Sure. Okie dokie. Well, if y'all think of anything, feel free to email me. And then check out our website. So make sure you're on there looking under events. And it is going to post this recording on there. I'm going to send you all the PowerPoint that we went through today. And make sure you get your applications in. And if you have any questions about the process, or would like for me to talk to someone, your boss, or somebody in your organization that doesn't quite understand what you're trying to do, Andrew and I are happy to always hop on a virtual call and talk to folks about what we're up to. Let me check the chat.
Hey, Cynthia, can I add one other thought that we didn't cover? I mean, while you're checking that, which is, you might be wondering about like the work outside of the sessions. I mean, that if I were going to join this program, I'd want to know that, and we didn't fully cover that. There's some readings. We tend to keep those pretty short and not always spicy, but sometimes, like, we want to initiate interesting conversation. We're going to lean into those a little bit more this year, and those are very important in terms of like getting everybody ready and set to go. So if you don't do the reading, it's going to be hard to participate, and so make sure you. But those aren't going to be like 6 hours of reading. It's going to be like an hour. Maybe an hour and a half. Sometimes we'll give you a podcast to listen to.
I was about to say, yeah, the
a video
podcasts are
to
nice.
watch. Yep, so that you can do some of that even on your ride if you're traveling. The one other thing I'll mention is like there is a final project, so you should plan, you know, if Cynthia was saying, you know, put this, mark your calendar, that there's a little more prep for that because you'll be given a final presentation. So just know that. I couldn't tell you is that, you know, 2 hours or 3 hours. It depends on your kind of work style, but you'll be working on that project throughout the program. So it's not like all of a sudden you got a project to do, but you do plan on a little bit more prep time for graduation.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for spending this hour with us. And again, we're here, we're available to answer any of your questions, and I'm excited to read your applications coming in.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Looking forward to the year.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.